Hello students, I welcome you once again for this next very interesting chapter of your science, that is busy at work, our internal organs. Students, have you ever thought how much work you are doing? How much work your body is doing? And what is most important, how much work your body is doing at the same time? एक ही समय पे आपका बॉडी कितना सारा काम कर रहा है. जस्ट फॉर एग्जाम्पल, टेक द करंट राइट नाउ एग्जाम्पल, एट दिस पर्टिकुलर मोमेंट एग्जाम्पल. राइट नाउ your eyes are looking at me on the screens, your ears are trying to listen to me, so your eyes are working, your ears are working. At the same time, your brain is trying to understand what I'm trying to tell you, so your brain is working. Some of you are maybe walking and listening to me, so at the same time your legs are working. Some of them are standing, some of them are sitting, so at the same time your back is working. Some of you are trying to talk to your friends at the same time, or some of you is trying to talk to your parents at the same time. So at the same time you're talking. So what am I trying to tell you is that your body is doing so much work at the same time. At the same time, you know, your heart is also beating. ऐसा नहीं है कि इतना सारा काम चल रहा है तो आपका हार्ट बंद हो गया. Your heart is beating. Your stomach is digesting food. आपने कुछ देर पहले कुछ खाया होगा तो आपका स्टमक अभी भी उसको हजम कर रहा है. In short, students, our body is doing a lot of work. It is always busy. And that is why this chapter, in which we are going to study how does our body work, how do the internal parts, how do the inside organs of our body work, how does our heart work. How do our lungs work? How does our stomach work? And how does the most important organ of our body, our brain, works? So, these are some organs, some important organs of our body which work continuously. हम सोते हैं तभी भी वो काम करता है, हम जगे हुए तभी वो काम करता है. That is what we will study in this chapter. How do these organs work? How do they continuously work? And that is why the name of the chapter is Busy at Work, Our Internal Organs. Now, moving ahead, students, tell me, don't we all breathe continuously? Continuously we all breathe. What do we breathe, students? We breathe air. What do we breathe? Air. You know, we are taking air inside and we are giving air outside. This is what we are continuously doing. Why are we doing this? You say, okay sir, because air is important for us to live. अगर हमें एयर नहीं मिलेगा तो हम जी नहीं पाएंगे. What do we take from the air? From the air we take in oxygen. And it is because of this oxygen that we are able to live, otherwise we would die. So oxygen is important for us to survive. Survive means to live. जीने के लिए जरूरी होता है. Now students, this oxygen is required by all the parts of our body. हमारे बॉडी के हर हिस्से को ऑक्सीजन चाहिए. तो हमारे बॉडी के हर हिस्से में ये ऑक्सीजन कैसे पहुंचता है? हाउ डू ऑल पार्ट्स ऑफ माई बॉडी गेट ऑक्सीजन? इट इज विद द हेल्प ऑफ अ स्पेशल सिस्टम इन आवर बॉडी which is called as the respiratory system. The respiratory system helps to take the air from the environment into our body, inside our body, and therefore it is also said that respiratory system helps us to breathe. In other words, it is said respiratory system helps us in respiration. Students, difficult word. As I tell you, you must break it. Res, P, Re, shun. This T-I-O-N in English is always called as shun. Okay, respiration. Okay, you will always try to break the big words to make your English easier, so that you can remember these words and write them properly in the exams. Anyways, so now let us understand how does respiration happen in our body and what is the respiratory system all about. The respiratory system. Students, how do we breathe? God has given us this system which is located here in the chest. Okay, इस इलाके को हम chest कहते हैं. In the chest there is this entire system with the help of which we breathe. So point number 1 you must know is that respiratory system is located in the chest. Now, closely observe, students. The air from the entire environment, where does it first enter? How do we breathe? We breathe through our nose. So, the air first enters the nose. So, remember, nose is the first part of the respiratory system. So students, you can get a question. Which is the first part of the respiratory system? The answer is nose. Now understand. Through the nose the air enters. And which are the main respiratory organs? Which is the most important part of the respiratory system? Students, they are the lungs. Look at the lungs. These red colored organs, which are 2 in number. We have got 2 lungs. God has given us 2 lungs. So, the air from the nose has to reach to the lungs. So, the next point, students, remember that the most important organ of respiratory system is the lungs. Now students, look at me carefully and understand. The lungs are located here and the nose is here. Are the nose and the lungs connected? नोज इधर है तो क्या लंग्स इधर है? इधर नहीं है ना, लंग्स इधर है. इसका मतलब क्या है? नोज से लंग काफी दूर है. The lung is very far from the nose. तो नोज में जो एयर जाएगा वो लंग तक कैसे पहुंचेगा? How will this air from the nose reach up till here, reach up till lungs? Therefore, God has given us this pathway which starts from the nose and it connects the nose to the lungs. Observe it in the picture, students. The nose is here, the lungs are here, and this is the entire pathway. You understand the blue colored pipe. So because it is a pathway, it is called as the respiratory tract. Tract meaning path. Path meaning it is like a road. It is like a road for the air to go from the nose and finally reach the lungs. Okay? So, if you understand, students, the entire respiratory system works like this. Starts from nose, from the nose to the respiratory tract, and from the respiratory tract to the lungs. Now, we will try to focus a bit on the respiratory tract. Now, if you look at the respiratory tract, this part of the respiratory tract, ये जो पाइप है, ये जो रास्ता है, उसका जो ये वाला हिस्सा है, इसे कहते हैं ट्रेकिया. Students, please remember, trachea. How do you pronounce it? Trachea. Okay, some students by mistake call it trachea. It is not trachea, it is trachea. Students, it is also called as the trachea is also called as the windpipe. Why windpipe? Because through this pipe the air is passing and therefore it's called as the windpipe. Over here. Now students, if you see, the trachea goes further down. Now in your body, if you want to feel trachea, see where is trachea exactly? Okay, right over here in the region of the neck. यहाँ पे जैसा छोटा सा खड्डा जैसा feel हो रहा है. Okay, just try to touch it. Don't press very hard, students. Just touch it. थोड़ा सा hard feel होगा. You will feel some hard structure. Students, that is the trachea. Okay, or the windpipe. Now, let's go further ahead. As the trachea goes further ahead, see, God has given us two lungs. So this one trachea now has to divide. And then after going into the lungs, see, observe students, this pipe is further dividing and further dividing and further dividing and further dividing. Like the branches of the tree, isn't it? And therefore it is said that when the trachea reaches the lungs, it divides into many branches. I hope you understand these are the branches. Okay, here they have shown branches only in this lung, in this picture, but branches are also there in the other lung. Okay, so what happens further ahead? Okay, listen students, carefully, if you are able to magnify in this much part, if you are able to zoom in, in this much part, what we realize is that ये जो छोटे छोटे ब्रांचेस है, इवेंचुअली फाइनली ये सारे ब्रांचेस छोटे छोटे बलून्स बन रहे हैं. They are becoming small ball like structures, and these ball like structures are called as alveoli. Alveoli. They look like small pouches. They look like small packets. They are also called as air sacs. Sac meaning they are like bags. You know, you have your sac race in which you take a bag and you run. So the sac meaning bag. And this bag contains what? Air. Because air is coming from here. So, students, now remember, every time you breathe in, which is called as inhale. Every time you breathe in, air first enters the nose. Then the air reaches the trachea. Then the air reaches the lungs. And in the lungs there are many branches. And then finally the air reaches the alveoli. So every time we take in oxygen, oxygen passes through this particular pathway. Let us look at some more pictures. This is a very nice picture which shows you the lung. This is the trachea. This is the trachea lower part, and see it goes into each lung and how it becomes branches. Looks like the branches of a tree. Okay. Now, this is again a nice picture to see trachea and see how trachea divides. And finally here, this picture is specially to show you these balloon-like structures which I call as alveoli. So it's a nice picture to see small balloon-like structures called as alveoli. So here I want you to imagine, students. Okay, till now what was your understanding? That lungs के अंदर air जाता है और भगवान ने हमें 2 lungs दिया. God has given us 2 lungs, which means God has given us something like 2 big balloons. It is not like that. God has given us lakhs of small balloons, and these small balloons are called as alveoli. So lakhs of small balloons are present in each lung. Now this is another picture which shows you trachea and the branches. Now students, so up till now we have understood that every time we breathe in, the oxygen reaches the small balloons. Now from here, where does the oxygen go? See students, if you look at this picture, here also we have shown you small balloons, alveoli. The alveoli, they look like a bunch of grapes. But if you carefully observe, alveoli is surrounded by, around the alveoli, can you see these small pipes, red colored? They are blood vessels. माने खून की नलियां. Small blood vessels. What do blood vessels contain? Blood vessels contain blood. खून की नली में क्या होगा? खून होगा ना. So these blood vessels contain blood. So now try and understand. Alveoli को एकदम बाजू में चिपक के ये छोटे छोटे ब्लड वेसल्स है, जिसकी वजह से, because of which, see what happens. It's a nice picture. Lungs, if you see, lungs contain alveoli. So this is alveoli. You can nicely understand alveoli over here. We have taken oxygen inside, गया nose, trachea, branches और alveoli, small balloons. So oxygen इधर आ गया, alveoli के इधर. भी alveoli के आजू बाजू में मैंने क्या बोला? small blood vessels. तो ऑक्सीजन alveoli में से ब्लड में जाएगा. The oxygen from the alveoli goes into the blood, and this is how the oxygen now reaches the blood. And now when it reaches the blood, you know, blood is everywhere in my body and blood is continuously flowing. So now the oxygen from the lungs goes to each part of my body and every cell gets oxygen. देखो, मेरे बॉडी के हर सेल को ऑक्सीजन चाहिए, पर मुझे नोज सिर्फ इधर ही दिया है. क्या भगवान ने मुझे हर जगह नोज दिया है? Has God given us nose everywhere? No. It is because God has made our body like this, so that oxygen from the lungs, oxygen from the alveoli goes into the blood because of these small blood vessels. So now the blood contains oxygen, and this oxygen goes to all the parts of the body. Now, all the parts of the body, all the cells of the body will produce carbon dioxide, and this carbon dioxide comes into the alveoli. So see, understand, oxygen goes in this direction and carbon dioxide comes into the alveoli, and this carbon dioxide from the alveoli, it comes out. So remember, oxygen goes in like this and carbon dioxide comes out like this. So when carbon dioxide comes out, we call it as exhale, and this both together is called as breathing. So, if I summarize, what is breathing? Breathing मतलब सांस अंदर लो, सांस छोड़ो. दो पार्ट है ब्रीदिंग के, इनहेल एंड एक्सहेल. देखो स्टूडेंट्स, इनहेल माने इनसाइड लेना, एक्सहेल माने एग्जिट, बाहर जाने देना. इनहेल की वजह से ऑक्सीजन इनसाइड, एक्सहेल की वजह से कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड आउटसाइड. स्टूडेंट्स, यू माइट बी थिंकिंग ये कंटिन्यूसली होता है हमारे बॉडी में 24 hours. If you want to count how many times we breathe, you should take a watch and you should observe the movement of someone's abdomen. Abdomen माने पेट. ओके, क्योंकि जब भी इंसान सांस लेता है तो उसका पेट आगे पीछे होता है. ओके, so you observe the movement of the stomach. If you see, if I'm breathing once, my stomach is going inside and coming out. So you should observe, in 1 minute, a person breathes about 16 times. So we breathe about 16 times in a minute. जब हम बहुत भागते हैं तभी हम 25 बार 25 times we breathe. Sometimes when we are sleeping we breathe 12 times a minute. So this is generally 16 times is what we breathe regularly every minute. How does this happen continuously? हम कैसे 24 घंटा बिना भूले रात को सो रहे हैं, नींद आ गया पर ब्रीदिंग चालू है. Right now you are listening to me, but your breathing is going on. You are watching a cricket match, but your breathing is going on. Why like that? Because if you observe one of the pictures that I have shown you earlier, look at this picture, students, and look at this structure. Students, this part of my body, it looks like one piece ना, बाहर से दिखने में एक सिंगल पीस लगता ही है, पर अंदर से हमारे बॉडी के इस पार्ट को दो हिस्सों में डिवाइड किया गया है. From inside, this body is divided into two parts, which is called as a chest, and this part is called as abdomen. और ये बीच में एक पार्टीशन है. तो भगवान ने क्या अंदर एक वन रूम किचन जैसा बना है. This is one room and this is another room. और ये जो पार्टीशन है ना, ये पार्टीशन को इस पिक्चर में दिखाया गया है और इस पार्टीशन को कहते हैं डायाफ्राम. स्टूडेंट्स बहुत ध्यान से प्रोनाउंस करेंगे. डाया सिंपल, डायाफ, डायाफ, राम, RAGM. ओके, इसको रागम नहीं बोलेंगे, डायाफ रागम नहीं है, डायाफ, डायाफ राम, RAGM को बोलेंगे राम, डायाफ्राम. सो डायाफ्राम की वजह से हमारा चेस्ट और हमारा जो लोअर पार्ट ऑफ द बॉडी जिसे हम एब्डोमेन कहते हैं वो सेपरेट होता है. एंड अंडरस्टैंड, ये डायाफ्राम इज अ फ्लेक्सिबल ऑर्गन. फ्लेक्सिबल है जिसकी वजह से हम कंटिन्यूसली ब्रीथ कर पाते हैं. फ्लेक्सिबल है मतलब क्या? अंडरस्टैंड, whenever air goes inside, don't you think the lungs will have to become big? So when the lungs have to become big, the diaphragm will go down. So every time you inhale, take air inside, the diaphragm goes down. Look at the picture. See, when you breathe in, this is inhale. When you breathe in, look at this pink colored diaphragm. It's going down. That's what they have shown with the arrow. And when you breathe out, तो देखो lungs जो पूरा एयर से भरा हुआ था वो भी खाली हो रहा है. The air is going out. तो lungs का साइज क्या होएगा? छोटा हो जाएगा. All the alveoli will become सारे alveoli का कैसा पचका हो गया, like balloons. All the small balloons have collapsed. As a result, the air is coming out, and now see the diaphragm goes up. So every time we exhale, this is exhale. That is, we give air out, which contains carbon dioxide. At that time, the diaphragm goes up, and this keeps on happening, students, continuously. Breathe in, diaphragm down. Breathe out, diaphragm up. Because of this diaphragm, we are able to breathe regularly. This is a wonderful picture to understand. The green colored structure is the diaphragm. Observe, the air is coming in. The white colored walls is the air. The pink colored structure is a lung. So see, air is coming in, diaphragm going down. Air going out, diaphragm moving up. Air in, diaphragm down. Air out, diaphragm up. Air out, diaphragm up. And this is how we are able to breathe continuously.